Imagine standing at the base of a 3,000-foot vertical rock wall, so steep, so unforgiving, that one mistake means instant death. No ropes, no safety net, just you, your hands, and your feet gripping onto the rock. That is the world of Alex Honnold, the man who dared to do the impossible. In June 2017, Alex Honnold achieved what many called the greatest feat in climbing history. He free-soloed El Capitan, a climb so dangerous that even the best climbers wouldn't dream of attempting it without ropes. But how did he get here? What kind of person willingly flirts with death at such heights? And what does it take to control fear when failure means the end? Alex Honnold was born in 1985 in Sacramento, California. As a kid, he was quiet, introverted, and often felt out of place in social settings. But when he discovered rock climbing at a local gym, everything changed. Climbing became his obsession. By the time he was in his teens, he was spending every spare moment scaling walls. But while most climbers trained with safety ropes, Alex felt drawn to a more extreme path, free-soloing. The concept was simple: climb without ropes, without protection, and with total commitment. There was no room for error. For most climbers, the idea of free-soloing is madness. But Alex wasn't reckless. He was methodical, precise, and calculated in his approach. He spent years honing his skills on shorter but equally dangerous free solo routes across the U.S. His climbs became more daring. From the sheer faces of Half Dome in Yosemite to the unforgiving cliffs of Zion National Park, he continued to push the limits of what was humanly possible. But in his mind, there was always one challenge that stood above the rest: El Capitan. El Capitan is one of the most iconic rock formations in the world. A vertical wall stretching 3,000 feet into the sky. It had been climbed by hundreds of experts, but always with ropes. No one had ever free-soloed it. The idea seemed suicidal. For 2 years, Alex trained obsessively for the climb. He memorized every handhold, every foothold, every possible move. He climbed it repeatedly with ropes, studying every inch of rock, ensuring he knew exactly what to do in every situation. Then came June 3rd, 2017. It was time. At 5:32 a.m., Alex Honnold took his first step up the wall. There were no film crews in his face, no distractions. Just him, the rock, and the knowledge that he had to be perfect. The first 500 feet were relatively easy, at least for Alex. His hands and feet moved with precision, as if he was simply walking up a vertical sidewalk. But then came the first true test, the monster off-width. A brutal, physically exhausting crack where he had to wedge his body inside and shimmy upwards with nothing but friction holding him in place. A single slip, and it was over. But Alex had trained for this. He made it through. Then came the most terrifying part of the climb, the boulder problem. At 2,000 feet, the rock face was nearly featureless. To pass this section, Alex had to execute a precise, almost impossible move. A karate kick to switch his feet, while holding onto a tiny ledge with just his fingertips. This was the moment of truth. The world would later hold its breath watching this move. But Alex, he did it flawlessly. And just like that, the hardest part was behind him. The final 1,000 feet were not as technically challenging, but by now fatigue was setting in. Yet Alex remained laser-focused. Then at 8:56 a.m., 3 hours and 58 minutes after he started, Alex Honnold pulled himself over the final ledge and stood on top of El Capitan. He had done it. It was the greatest free solo climb in history. A feat of physical mastery, mental fortitude, and sheer determination. News of the climb spread like wildfire. The climbing world was stunned. Experts who once thought the feat was impossible were now calling it the greatest athletic achievement ever. The climb was immortalized in the award-winning documentary FreeSolo, which captured the sheer magnitude of Alex's achievement. The film went on to win an Oscar, introducing millions around the world to the sport of climbing. But what about Alex? Unlike many thrill seekers, he wasn't chasing fame or fortune. He simply loved climbing. Today, he continues his passion, but with a greater focus on safety, philanthropy, and sharing his knowledge with the next generation. Alex Honnold's story is not just about climbing. It's about pushing the limits of human potential. It's about the relentless pursuit of perfection and the idea that fear doesn't have to control us. It can be conquered. This has been the story of Alex Honnold, the man who defied death and changed climbing forever.